Hey everybody, I'm Zach.
And I'm Jesse.
Thank you for joining us on Tesla Time News,
Episode 97
on Now You Know. All right, so Tesla just turned 200,000 years old.
Nope.
That's what it says.
No,
200,000.
It says Tesla hits 200,000.
What did they
sold
hit?
their 200,000th car.
Why is that a big deal? Why is that even news? I mean, there's so many other car companies out there that have sold that many cars.
Well, they didn't just sell any old kind of cars. They sold very special cars.
Special cars?
Yeah, they sold battery electric vehicles.
Yeah, but there's other companies that have done that.
No, they have not sold that many. There's no other car company in the U.S. that has sold that many battery electric vehicles in the U.S.
All right, so now that they've done it, what does that mean?
So, this is the big number. This is what we had been kind of, I guess no one was waiting for this number. No one wanted to hit this number, but it happened.
Okay.
And it happened in the second quarter of this year.
Okay, so what does that mean for everybody out there?
So, we knew that they had hit their 200,000th car sold in the U.S., but we didn't know exactly when that had happened, right? And for the whole month of July so far, I've just constantly been Googling Tesla tax credit, Tesla tax credit. Here's the thing. The 200,000 limit is where the tax credit starts to get cut off.
Wait, it's over?
No. Don't worry. What Tesla did was they made sure that they delivered their 200,000th car on July 1st.
Okay. Oh, so that starts the clock.
In quarter 3.
So that means that by January, well, we'll show a chart right here.
Yep.
But so if you can get your car by the end of the year, you'll get the full $7,500 federal tax credit.
Right. So
Good.
What that means is, there's going to be 2 quarters of full $7,500 tax credit. Then the first half of 2019, there will be a $3,750 tax credit.
Okay.
And then the second half of 2019, there will be a $1,875 tax credit.
So Tesla did a lot of work to make sure that they didn't start the clock until the beginning of this quarter.
Right. They've delivered over, I believe, 300,000 cars in the world. And what they did was they knew that they had to make sure that they weren't going to deliver that 200,000th car before July 1st, or it would end the end of third quarter this year.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to say that's a lot of planning to have to stockpile and ship to different countries.
Right,
I mean, it took a lot of work.
You have to make sure that, those cars are going to Canada, that you're not making that 200,000th sale before July 1st. Because, you have to imagine, Bob's all right, sold the 200,000th car. Woo-hoo!
Bob, no. Oh, Bob.
Oh, it's out the door. Guys got the keys.
You
awesome.
ruined it, Bob.
Yeah, right. You have to be no, don't do that. So they had to make sure that didn't happen, and they did it. They made sure that they didn't sell over 200,000 cars, and what that means is that there's going to be a whole other quarter of this full tax credit, and This is super important because Tesla is just ramping up their Model 3 production.
Perfect
They
timing.
are selling so many Model 3s, it's not even funny. They are outperforming basically every other EV in the world, especially in the United States.
Yeah, they kind of played this loophole because now that they're pumping them out fast, they're going to get more people this tax credit than ever before. Now, I know if you're outside this country, I don't care about the tax credit, but this helps Tesla because it means that all those people are going to be able to get the car cheaper.
Right.
And it doesn't come off of Tesla's bottom line.
Right. Now, there is a bill that will extend this tax credit for 10 years.
That's right. And Representative Welch from Vermont has sponsored it, and you can contact your representative if you live in the U.S. and tell them to back this bill, which would make a huge difference for everyone out there.
Right. We'll put a link in the description below for that bill specifically.
And when you are talking to your representative, talk to them about it being a pro-American bill, because if the extension ends, Tesla loses out, and the only car company left in the U.S. would probably be GM.
Right.
And then
they're going to lose out pretty soon.
They're going to lose out pretty soon.
They're getting close to their 200,000.
So then
car.
the tax credit would go to foreign-made cars, and
it would go to Nissan. It would go to the Kona, the Hyundai.
Yeah, and also, write to President Trump and let him know that you want him to sign this bill when it comes onto his desk.
Right.
Now, this feeds right into this next story, which is that Model 3 reservations have been opened up. Elon tweeted that basically, even if you are not on the list, you can get your Model 3. What is this all about?
So this is pretty awesome.
Yeah, but wait a minute. We're on the list. Why shouldn't we be given, status here and get ours first?
Well, okay. First of all, a few months ago I was given the configurator. It's just that I want the base Model 3, so I didn't order mine yet.
Oh, I see. So basically, Tesla wants to sell high-margin cars. The performance, the premium, the long-range battery. Most of the people on the list appear to want the base model, which is the short-range battery, the regular interior, and perhaps maybe just the dual motor.
And the one that costs $35,000.
Right. And so Tesla, let's be honest, they want to sell you a high-margin car right now. So they're opening up the list for all those people who might have never even heard of the Model 3 until recently and are like, I want that instead of a new BMW.
Right. I think that this is important. There's one point here, which is that Tesla has not been pushing the Model 3 at all, right, for so long that I think that it didn't permeate into the consciousness as much as it really would have helped at this point, because they've been anti-selling it so much to make sure that there wasn't too much hype. Because if you have too much hype and then like your expectations are up here, and then all of a sudden like you're like, oh, they're producing down here, and you're like, oh, I'm so disappointed and I'm so mad. But the thing is, because they did that, because they were anti-selling it so much, I think that so many people haven't heard about the Model 3.
Really good point.
That we're never going to be waiting in line on, what was it?
March 31st.
March 31st. And we're not going to put their money down on some list to wait for some car. You know, they had other things to do. They were busy or whatever. These are the people who are going to be like, oh, this car goes, the performance model goes 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds, and it looks amazing, and, you know, everyone in the world wants one right now. These are the people that Tesla needs to go after, but I think these are the people that have not been hearing about the Model 3.
All right, this next story fits right into that as well, which is you can now get your Model 3 even faster. Tesla has reduced the wait time for the performance and the long-range rear-wheel drive to 1 to 3 months. Now, we know of people who have actually gotten their car within 2 weeks.
Yeah.
That means ordered it, 2 weeks later, got it.
Right.
So if a lot of people, I think, who have even heard of Teslas are like, well, the problem with those cars is you have to wait for months or years to get it.
Right. And that has been the thing that has really been anti-selling the car more than Tesla, is the fact that there was this waiting list. And so many people are like, oh, there's a waiting list of like 500,000 people. Oh,
forget it.
I'm
it's
just
worthless.
never going to get in the list.
Right. So now opening up this list means that if you haven't even put your name on the list and you ordered one of these cars, you can get it really fast.
Right. So, I mean, I think that it's important for you to go home. Maybe you are like, I'm not getting a Model 3. Or maybe you're like, I need the base model. That's all I can afford, like me. Or you're like, I can't even afford a Model 3, or I don't need a Model 3. But you probably know someone who does. Just start showing them stuff about it. I mean, there's a wealth of videos coming out as tons of people are getting their Model 3s. It's a fun car to drive. It's exciting.
Well, Elon agrees with you. I mean,
Yeah.
Elon tweeted out, whether you plan to buy a dual motor performance Model 3 or not, take it for a test drive anyway.
Yeah.
It's like having pure fun jacked straight into your brain whenever you want. We've already made around 100 Model 3 performance cars for test drives in stores.
Right. And I mean, I've only driven the rear wheel drive, non-performance, long range. And it's super fun to drive.
It's so fun.
Oh my goodness, this is so fun to drive.
And you know that they're getting serious here because now they are planning for 5-minute deliveries. What they do is they have these 9 short videos which show you all the different aspects of the car. You're required to watch them so you know what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's basically a 5-minute sign and drive process because they need to get these cars out the door fast.
Right. And I think that this is mostly in California, where these cars are just, flying off the shelves, so to speak. But it's still amazing that they're able to, to acclimate yourself to a car that is completely different than anything you've ever driven. When you had Sparky delivered, we were in there for like half an hour, 45 minutes of just like, here's how this works, here's how this works, here's how this works. And the whole time we're like, oh, okay, that's new. Okay, yep, that's different, And
hey, and that's what our videos are for too. Like
Right.
we've got lots of videos on the Model 3. Go check them out because we cover all aspects of the car.
Yeah, because there's no way that you can get them all in 9 videos.
Right.
Like, I'm sorry, Tesla. I know that you did a good job and you can definitely drive it home. But there is a lot more that
more to
goes into the
discover.
car. But anyway, super cool.
So remember in March, Elon mentioned that the Boring Company would use the dirt and material it extracted from the tunnels it bores to make bricks.
Yep.
Well, check out this video. This is the Boring Company brick making machine at work.
Nice. That is, I love watching machines
I
work.
do too. It took me, I had to watch many loops before I saw like how the top thing comes down and makes those 2 little interlocking things on the
It
top.
compresses the brick, yeah.
These Lego-style interlocking bricks will also be used to build the tunnel walls. Now, Elon says that they will have a compression strength greater than concrete, or 5,000 psi. For people in construction, they know that that's basically the gold standard. You can build anything on 5,000 psi pretty much.
Right. And I mean, look at how thick these things are. These things are beefy.
Yeah.
You know, cinder blocks, I've seen people drop cinder blocks and break them.
Exactly.
You know, they're pretty flimsy until you mortar them up or whatever. But
look at how this is designed. It's so simple yet so amazing. The holes line up so that you can either stagger the bricks or line them directly on top of each other, or even turn them 90 degrees. And then that hole becomes a place for a conduit for either a pipe or electricity to run, so that all throughout your walls, you can be running things in the walls.
Right. And I mean, like, this isn't new to anyone who's played with Legos, but like, now, like, you know, my dream has always been to build a house with Legos. And I've looked online, you can buy like big Legos to like make little rooms in your house, but they cost like more than walls cost.
You know what I think we should do when we get the truck?
Ooh.
We should drive to Hawthorne.
Yep.
Or wherever they're digging a hole. Pick up a load of bricks and go build a house.
Oh, nice. We just came up with that idea right now. We're doing that.
Now, for people who say to us, these are just bricks, guys, this is the most boring little episode you've made.
Don't worry. We got some stuff to spice this up.
Really?
Yeah, we got some pizzazz.
Wait, what is this?
This is the boring tunnel. So this is where the bricks came from, right? The dirt from the bricks. Check this out.
Wow.
Pretty cool, pretty
Snazzy.
I don't know if all the boring company tunnels are going to have this.
I hope they do.
That's really cool.
So you think they gave the intern like the company credit card and were like, okay, go buy some LEDs and have fun.
He certainly had some fun. That's amazing.
All right, so recently Elon had an interview with Bloomberg, and it's a pretty cool article. Check it out here. And one of the big takeaways from this article is he said that the Model 3 was the last bet the company idea. So what is a bet the company idea?
So it's a scenario where you're basically putting all your eggs in one basket, and
if that doesn't work,
then you're
screwed.
Pretty much in trouble.
So before that, bet the company was on the original Roadster, right?
Right.
If that didn't work, there would be no Tesla.
Because, you know, that's any first product of a startup.
Okay.
You know?
And then the Model S, he said, was another bet the company. That had to work.
Yep.
He said the Model X wasn't a bet the company. He said basically they could have kept selling the Model S.
Right.
But he said then the Model 3, that was a bet the company. They had to basically build out more factory space. They had to, you know, commit all their resources to getting this to work.
It's a huge investment for that, you know, something that if it went wrong, you know, like imagine if we got in the Model 3 and it was like, this car is not perfect.
Oh, I know.
You know? I mean, it is perfect.
It is
but I mean, imagine if we got in and it was like, there's a glaring flaw.
No, that's
this
a really
car isn't awesome to drive.
That's a really good point, because how many cars come out that just blow it away? Most don't.
That's true. Most are like, you know, here are the trade-offs, this and that. With Model 3, it's like, this thing is
and even
nice.
when this car had a few little problems in the beginning, like, you know, Consumer Reports said it didn't brake fast enough, over-the-air update, now it brakes
fixed all
fast
the
enough.
cars. That's amazing.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even same thing with like, oh, the rear cushion seats aren't cushiony enough.
Fixed it.
Right. Like, this car is amazing.
Right. And so getting back to the bet the company thing here, basically Elon said that Model 3, that's the last bet the company thing here. Mm-hmm. And he says bet the company so many times that it stops making any sense in my head. You know, when you say a word too many times, he's like, let's just read this quote here.
Yeah, so here he says, basically, I believe Model 3 is the last bet the company situation. It's not like I have a desire to bet the company. There is not a choice. If somebody knows how to do it without betting the company, I would love to talk to that person. But I do not foresee future bet the company situations. To the best of my judgment, I do not think we have any future bet the company situations. We will still need to work hard and be vigilant and not be complacent, because it is very difficult just to survive as a car company. But it will not be the same level of strain as getting to volume production of Model 3.
Okay, if he says bet the company one more.
I think he said it that many times because this was an article going out to Wall Street.
Yep.
And basically, we know that Elon has put a lot of emphasis on upcoming Q3 and Q4 numbers.
Yep.
He needs to show Wall Street and investors that they're going to be profitable, that they're no longer taking any risk, or at least, you know, the massive risk that startups do. So if they can do that in 3-4, I think what Elon knows is that money will flow.
Right.
And when they need more capital to build out more gigafactories, everyone will say, hey, that company, they're doing just fine. Nothing to worry about.
And, you know, they'll consider every new, like, oh, they're building, ramping up production of the Semi, of the Roadster, of the pickup truck, of the Model Y. Everyone, all the investors are going to be like, well, this isn't a bet the company, scenario, because bet the company is now lodged in their brain. That's never going to come out of my head. Yeah, I mean, I think it's important for him to kind of stress that. Do I think that future, models and stuff, do I think that they're going to be as to the wire as the Model 3? No. Because,
right.
I mean, imagine now that you have a full-scale Model 3 production, let's say 5,000, 10,000 cars per week. That's bringing in tons of revenue. And, I mean...
And as you want
profit.
to make the pickup truck or the Model Y, you already know how to do this now.
Right. Have you heard about the TLog?
Is that a new math function?
Well, no. That is a freshly unveiled product of the Swedish startup company Einride.
What is it?
It's an all-electric, autonomous logging truck.
What?
Yeah, so check this baby out.
Wait a minute. So let me get this straight. I've seen those videos of like those huge machines that cut a tree and then grab the tree and dump it into a truck behind it. This is that truck behind it?
Yeah.
And so now, instead of having to have a second driver, which is just driving that truck and waiting for each tree and moving closer and up, that's all done autonomously?
Yeah, so either this truck will, drive autonomously to and fro, where you're cutting down trees and where you're processing them into whatever you're making out of them, IKEA furniture apparently, or it can be remotely driven. So you could,
by the guy in the truck in front of it.
It could either be the guy in the truck in front of it, or it could be some guy, I don't know, at his house or at an office.
Anywhere in the world?
With like a steering wheel? Yeah, sure. They say they can do it up to hundreds of miles away.
That would be a fun job.
Using
so you
4G,
just
right.
get into your bathrobe, and then
it's like playing Euro Truck Simulator, except the truck is electric, so you don't have to worry about gears. And
that's so cool.
Yeah.
So what are the specs on this truck?
So it has a range of 200 kilometers. That's 124 miles with a 200 kilowatt hour battery. It uses NVIDIA Drive self-driving platform. And again, it can be not just autonomous, but also remote controlled.
This is so cool. All these new ideas that come out of autonomous driving.
Right. And so many people are so narrow-minded. They're like, because I've had people say like, what if I need lumber delivered to my house? Or what if I need, this or that? And it's like, well, you can just make a flat truck that can, I mean, yes, this is designed for carrying logs, but I mean, you can put anything. Yeah, you can put a whale on that.
All right, last week we didn't have the numbers yet for June, but we now do. June EV car sales look pretty interesting, Jesse. Take a look at this chart we put together here. So in June, Model 3 had 6,062 car sales. That makes it the #1 EV seller in the U.S. Wow. Oh, and number 2 and 3?
Is the S and the X, also made by a company called Tesla.
Interesting. And so the big guy here, the GM Chevy Bolt, their numbers dropped.
Yes.
1,083 in June.
Yeah. I mean, look at these numbers here. It's just astounding. So when there are stock analysts who are like, just think about the competition that's coming. It's like,
where is it?
Yeah. I mean, people are like, the Bolt is direct competition for Tesla. I mean, that is true, but is it really
at 1/6 the sales?
Is 1/6 the sales of the Model 3? You got to start questioning yourself. And those sales have dropped off as the Model 3 has become more available.
And this was June when they were probably underselling the car. Wait till we see July and August numbers.
Right, when they're making performance and dual motor. A lot of people were waiting for that dual motor.
That's right. All right, so this is an interesting story. Daimler, which is Mercedes' parent company, is now wading into the autonomous driving ride-hailing services pool. They have announced an automated shuttle service that will be piloted in California next year. Now, these are not EVs. These will be using their S-Class luxury sedans and their B-Class hatchbacks, but they will be autonomously driven. And they'll be partnering with Bosch and NVIDIA. And so basically, any passenger who requests a ride via an app will travel for free. Good way to introduce the service.
I think that this is pretty stupid.
You don't seem very excited.
No. I mean, good for you for going autonomous, but if you're not doing an electric, get out.
I think the reason is they don't really have an electric car that they can plug into this
Develop
yet.
one. I mean,
no,
you're
I
Daimler. No one is going to. I'm just telling you. In a few short years, there's going to be a lot of, fully electric ride-hailing services, and if you show up in a loud, polluting, smelly S-class luxury sedan with a tailpipe, people are going to be like, what the heck is this?
But I do want to point out that just the fact that they see the writing on the wall, they know that their model is changing and they're kind of changing with it, shows that they're getting it somewhat.
But they're completely missing out on the electric part. And for that, I know that they don't know what they're talking about.
All right, well, here's a car, Jesse, that
does know what they're talking about.
Totally gets it.
We've got to talk. This is the Alieno Arcanum RP5. This is the most ridiculous hypercar we've ever heard of. So let's first talk about what RP stands for.
Okay, what does RP stand for?
Raw power.
Okay, but you're forgetting one thing, that there's the Tesla next generation Roadster, which has amazing numbers. How can this beat that?
Well, this car is going to have, why don't you read that number right there?
522 horsepower.
No. That's
not
no. That's 5,221 horsepower. See, you didn't read the 1 at the end because it's a whole 10 times more powerful than what you just said.
Let me just explain something to you, Jesse. For it to have over 5,000 horsepower, it would have to have at least 10 motors.
Don't worry, because it's got 24 motors.
What?
It's got 24 electric motors. It's going to have 6,550 pound-feet of torque.
Okay, just to put this in perspective, a Model S, ludicrous, has 750 horsepower.
Right.
You're telling me this thing's going to have 5,221 horsepower?
Mm-hmm. It definitely will. It'll also be able to go 303 miles an hour. The Model S, of course, can only go 155.
What is that?
So Arcanum, right, means secret of the secrets. And Alieno is Italian for alien. Okay. It's basically like they're using alien technology.
Yeah, I mean, according to the CEO, founder, and CTO, and chief constructor, so I guess this guy does it all, Ahmed Murchev, he says that the mission is to create hypercars with alien technologies from the future into the present. Where is this company even based?
Bulgaria.
Have they made a car before?
No.
Okay.
But don't worry, they were founded in 2015.
Okay, how much is this car going to cost?
If you want the full power,
I do. I want the
raw
full
power 5.
Yeah.
It's a $1.75 million.
Okay. I first of all have trouble believing they're going to be able to deliver 24 motors.
What? Come on. Where is your...
Well, the other thing is this just going to go fast for like a block and then run out of energy?
Well, I don't know.
I mean, because he says they're making a 24-hour Le Mans version that would be able to drive all day.
Yeah. Right. They're using alien technology. You can't forget that
So
point.
we have a poll on our Patreon page. Yeah. If you're a Patreon, go there now and tell us what you think about this car, because I am of the firm belief that this will never happen.
Here's the fun part, though, right? Okay? It's electric.
Mm-hmm. No, I like that.
And it gets posted on, like, all the car pages, right?
That's a good point.
People are not necessarily believing this, but they're at least not laughing it off the table enough to be like, I'm not publishing this. They will, they'll
That's
put
true.
as much tongue in cheek. They'll be like, oh, this is ridiculous or whatever. But because it's electric, I mean, if I came out with a gas-powered car with 5,000 horsepower, people will be like, what did you do? Take a tank motor? Like, you take a jet engine, put it in your car?
No,
or
and you
something?
can bring up a good point. There's some technology in this car that supposedly it's going to have advanced driver assistance systems. The main one, which is called Alieno Artificial Intelligence, or the Alien. So it's going to assist the driver, prevent him from making mistakes, and teach them how to improve their driving skills, habits, and style, with the sole purpose of being able to explore and use the full potential of the car.
Right. Now, but I mean, the thing is, do I think this car is ever going to be made with the specs and the crazy numbers?
You seem to.
That's up to the Patreon poll.
Oh, okay.
They
decided.
They will decide my opinion, I suppose.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, the thing is, we're talking about it. That's the
right.
important thing,
you're right.
and that it's electric, and that no car guy would believe you if you didn't say it was electric. There's got to be at least a few car guys.
You know what? When we're in Europe driving around the Roadster, let's stop in Bulgaria and see how they're doing.
Race them.
Yeah.
Put them up to the test.
I love it.
See what they have.
Challenge is out there.
Yeah.
All right, Jesse. So this next story is a story about how everything in the world is intertwined, right? I mean, researchers who are working on the Chagos Islands in the Indian Ocean, they found that invasive rats on the island are a big problem for coral reefs.
Because they're like swimming out into coral reefs and eating them or something?
No,
Or-
it's a little more insidious than that. So basically, they eat seabird eggs and the chicks, which lowers the seabird population on that island, which in turn reduces the amount of bird droppings, which fertilize the reefs. Now, coral reefs cover less than 0.1% of the ocean's area, but they house about a third of the ocean's biodiversity.
And so where did these rats come from? I mean, they were sent from Ratland or whatever, and they're
No, they were in
taken over?
ships. They were in ships, right? And when a ship would shipwreck on the island, the rats would jump onto the island and basically take over.
So we're talking about like 15th century through like the
Even through
20th century.
Right, and here's the cool part. This is a science experiment, right? There's so many of these little islands. Some of them had shipwrecks, some of them didn't. So some of them have rats, some of them don't. And the researchers can now look at an island with rats as opposed to one right next door that has no rats. And here's what they found. So lead researcher, Professor Nick Graham from Lancaster University says, the islands with no rats are full of birds. They're noisy, the sky is full, and they smell because the guano the birds are depositing back on the island is very pungent. If you step onto an island with rats, there are next to no seabirds. We also found that fish on the reefs adjacent to the islands with seabirds were growing faster and were larger than their age than the fish on reefs next to rat-infested islands. So this is a perfect science experiment. You've got an island right next to another island. One has rats, one doesn't. One has, no seabirds, one does. And you can see the difference between the reefs around those islands and the fish around those islands. Here's where it gets interesting to me. The Earth is a giant science experiment, except it's not so easily laid out. We can't see so clearly what's going on when you introduce a new variable.
Right, and we just figured out this whole rat thing.
Right.
I mean, it wasn't like the explorers or the fishermen or whoever was, running around with rats on their ship and accidentally crashed into a reef.
Right. I mean, who would think that rats would affect coral reefs?
Right. I mean, they weren't sitting there like, oh, look at that! There's a rat that's run onto the shore and it's eating all of the bird eggs. Oh, it's so strange. I wonder if that will have an effect on the coral reef. It's never going to happen. Like no one was thinking about that. They were like, rats, Reginald. We seem to have been shipwrecked on this coral reef.
Rats.
All of the rats seem to be. No, they didn't. They weren't thinking about that. I mean, but yeah, we don't think about the consequences of like little things.
Right. So if we barely understand that, we just understood it now.
Right. And now we're like, basically every person owns a car, and they basically drive that car every day, and basically every car has a tailpipe and is just constantly spewing out stuff.
I wish we had an island that was just full of car drivers and an island that wasn't, and they were next to each other, and they had like a wall between them so they didn't affect each other. And then
put them in
scientists,
domes.
right? And scientists could just say like, "Oh my gosh, the island with the cars, they're all dying."
Right. Oh, it's so funny. They all have lung cancer. Yeah. I mean, we don't. I don't know why as humans we don't ever try and think or consider, what little things can, grow into bigger problems, especially, when we get to a global scale, because, we were very tribal, small, any effect that you would have on your environment would be very limited to like where you and your tribe lived.
Right.
But now that we live on a global scale, there just aren't the same animals everywhere. So if you're like, oops, rats, or if you're like, oops, ton of pollution, the effects can just keep going.
All right, it's time for the lightning round.
All right, here we go.
All right, so another car company has been caught in diesel cheating. This time it's Nissan, which has admitted to cheating emissions data in almost all but one of its Japanese factories. They altered and falsified data for exhaust emissions and fuel economy. Now, this isn't even the first time Nissan was found guilty of using diesel emission cheat devices by the South Korean government on the Qashqai SUV, which is a 1.6-liter diesel engine, in 2016, and then Nissan was fined 300,000 pounds.
Which seems like what you'd sell like 3 cars for that much.
But here's the takeaway.
Yeah.
Diesel engines. The only way to make them work is to cheat.
Right, is to lie.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
To go back to the world story that we just did on the intertwined connectivity of the world, Chinese factories are still using CFCs. So you remember CFCs. Those are those chemicals that deplete the ozone layers. Those are chlorofluorocarbons.
It's like a little bit before my time, I think. I think
Yeah,
they were
so-
starting to be, banned just as I was beginning to understand what banned means.
Right. I mean, we were doing a pretty good job of banning them, and then we just found out that basically the Environmental Investigation Agency, the EIA, their campaign group said 18 factories in 10 Chinese provinces admitted to using these banned chlorofluorocarbons.
Right, and what that meant was that the hole in the ozone layer over Antarctica had been shrinking And all of a sudden it started growing again, and nobody knew why. And it was because of these factories in China.
Right. It's kind of like our rat story.
Right.
Everything you do has an effect on the entire world.
Right.
Another battery breakthrough?
Mm-hmm.
Researchers at Norway's Department of Energy Technology in Kjeller claim to have found a way to use silicon instead of graphite, commonly used in the anodes of lithium-ion batteries. Now, this will lead to batteries that can power an electric car for 600 miles or more, the researchers claim.
You can say we have found the X factor we've been looking for. This has enormous potential and is something scientists around the world are trying to make, says IFE Research Director Arv Holt.
Jesse and I get these stories about every week, and it's exciting. Right. I want to stress it's super exciting. The fact that we're going to have amazing batteries in the future is super cool.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
We get this story every week, and every week the story sounds almost identical. They said, we used X instead of lithium or whatever as our cathode or anode or whatever, or electrolyte, and it will be able to charge faster, be able to power electric vehicles for 600 or 600 plus miles, charge in 5 minutes, and be bulletproof, completely safe. We hear it every single week. Now, I'm not trying to discredit any of these battery stories. I believe that they have the technology and they've been able to do it in a laboratory, but every single one of these technologies needs to be commercially viable in order for it to end up in your car.
Right, and that means that you have to be able to make it cheap enough, and you have to be able to make it on scale fast enough so that you can build millions of these batteries.
Right.
So we know it's going to happen. It's just that if we were to report to you every week on new battery technology breakthrough, then I think you guys would be like, guys, stop it.
Right. It's the same sounding story every week. It's the same thing every week.
And here's the thing. This is because thousands of people are now attracted to this field. There's a lot of money in it. It's awesome, and it's going to happen. So we are going to report this to you. We just need maybe your feedback. And if you go to our Patreon post of this week, you can give us your ideas on how we can help to keep you updated on this, but yet not overload you with kind of the same story every week. The UK is making some amazing changes in their EV
Lampposts.
adoptions. Lampposts?
Yeah, they're making big changes to their lampposts.
Really?
Basically, every lamppost is going to have an electric charger in it.
That's right, including every home and office as well. So yeah, British Secretary of State for Transport, Chris Grayling, says that every new home, office, and lamppost will have to have an electric charging port. That's huge news if you think about it for just a second. The UK government will launch a £440 million fund to pay for it. Grayling says the plan will pave the way for the biggest overhaul in road transport technology since the development of the Benz patent motor car 130 years ago. The UK wants electric car drivers to, quote, find it easier to charge their vehicles than motorists today who have to visit a filling station.
This is pretty huge. Now, I think that this is really good that it's happening in Britain first. It's a smaller-ish country. They don't have to spend quite as much money as if the United States wanted to do that. Being able to charge easier than it is to fill up is going to change the way that it works.
And a lot of Americans write to me and they say, well, this couldn't happen here. And I actually have to answer them, yes, it can. We have a building code, a national building code that most states adopt. And in the building code, for instance, like California is changing theirs to say that you have to have homes that have solar on the roof.
Right.
So you can change the building code and you can adopt it.
When I talk about things that are in space, besides stars and man-made things in space,
Okay.
what is the first thing you think of?
The International Space Station.
Yep, that's probably the most famous. What's the second one that comes to your mind?
The Hubble Space Telescope.
Yeah, that is a pretty famous thing. Almost everyone, at least in America, knows what the Hubble Space Telescope is.
Right.
They know what it looks like.
Yep.
It's a very expensive...
It's made amazing breakthroughs.
Yeah, it's a huge, amazing scientific breakthrough, but everyone knows what it is and what it looks like. Mm-hmm. And that's pretty amazing because most people don't know what any other satellite looks like. They don't even have a concept of it. They usually just think of the Hubble.
Okay. How does that fit into the BFR?
The BFR could be perhaps the only rocket in the world that will be able to lift the Louvois Space Telescope.
What's the Louvois Space Telescope?
So maybe you've heard of the James Webb Space Telescope. It's that gold with the hexagons.
Is that in space yet?
It's not in space yet. They haven't been able to launch it because it's just been delayed and gone over budget and everything like that.
What's so special about that one, though?
It's way bigger than the Hubble. So the Hubble has a mirror right? That's, how big you can see, of 2.4 meters,
Okay.
which is how we've been able to get such amazing pictures. It's outside of the Earth's atmosphere, so you don't have any of that kind of,
Interference.
The Louvois is going to be 15 meters.
Holy crap.
So it's going to be huge. This is going to be a huge satellite, but no rocket currently on Earth can lift it into space.
Oh, okay. So I get it now. So basically, this was supposed to be lifted by the SLS, but there's been delays. So now NASA is considering SpaceX's BFR.
Right. BFR is going to be a beefy rocket. It has some impressive lifting numbers. And the BFR may be the only rocket that is going to be able to actually put this thing in orbit.
That's so cool. 2,170 days.
You're talking about is this like a TV show about 2170 batteries or something?
Nope.
Is it a sequel to 28 Days Later?
Nope.
Okay.
It's been 2,170 days between when the Model S was first released and not a single car manufacturer has brought a similar product to the market.
Wow.
Actually, it's been 2,177 days now.
Wow.
Think about that. The Model S. I mean, he's already gone on to the Model 3, and we're talking about the Tesla's Model Y and Semi and pickup truck. But just the Model S, no one's been able to come up with a single competitor yet that can do what the Model S does.
That's amazing.
So, Jesse, in Germany right now, they are planning on building the first German driverless train by 2021.
Do trains have drivers?
Of course they have drivers.
I mean, I know some have drivers. You get the guy with the doot.
They all have drivers. Every single train has a driver.
I was under the impression that trains were controlled by some computer somewhere, and
they control. You can have a control room that controls the tracks, but there's a person in there conducting the train, making sure that they go the speed they're supposed to, and so forth.
Haven't I seen movies where this isn't the case or something? And
you probably have seen movies.
Is this one with Denzel Washington or something?
Yes, I'm sure that Runaway Train or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, so this is a 23-kilometer section of the S-Bahn between these two German cities, and there will still be a driver that will continue to stay on board for disruptions and dangerous situations until they've got everything ironed out. But if this works, if this is successful, they plan to convert Germany entirely to this system of autonomous trains by 2025, and this would cost about 3 billion euro.
So that's not even that hard because trains don't steer.
Right.
You don't have to be whoa!
Right, it's mainly start, stop, and speed.
So, I mean, that's pretty simple. It's not, I mean, it seems simple enough in my mind.
But, we've already been talking about how jobs are changing.
Right.
Here it's happening before your eyes.
Right. This guy is going to have a really cushy job. Just stay on the train. The train's going to drive itself. You're just here in case anything goes wrong. He's like, can I play a game on my phone? They're like, okay, fine. That's fine.
I don't think they can play phone games.
Come on.
Check out this chart, Jesse. This is showing that UK has been coal-free so far this year for over 1,000 hours.
What is 1,000 hours? That's 41.6 days.
Wow, do you do that in your head? That's amazing.
Absolutely. Did it all in my head.
Yeah, so this chart shows that, look how fast it's been growing. These are the number of days that UK has been coal-free.
Now, wait a minute. This chart is actually really misleading because we're only halfway through 2018.
Good point.
So it could conceivably double or, triple. Who knows? But, I mean, look at that growth already. It's already linear, but I think it's going to be a little bit more S-curve looky.
All right, it's time for our video contributor stories, and I want to remind everyone out there, you can be a video contributor too. You just need to think of a cool story, contact us, we'll tell you what we need, and just make sure it's 2 minutes or shorter.
And one other thing.
Yeah?
We are working currently on our electric newsroom.
Electric newsroom.
Very exciting. We have gotten a lot of people who are interested. We're currently working on how to organize all of these people into a newsroom, even though we're not in a room, because it's
electric typewriters.
A lot of people are everywhere. There are some people on the other side.
So it's a virtual electric newsroom.
Virtual electric newsroom.
The VENR. The Wiener.
Oh no.
We need a better acronym.
But anyway, if you're interested, you can contact us on Facebook. Basically, what we're thinking is that you could be culling through the internet to find the most interesting stories.
Or we can feed you a story and you can do the research.
Because we have constantly been relying on our wonderful friends from all over the world to send us news that's going on where they live. Because we don't get that many German news stories
or Australian news stories,
right? And even when we do get them, it's translated, and sometimes it doesn't make any sense. And it's like, wait, they're gonna do what? And it's like, oh no, that's a bad translation. Let me explain that to you. it's so amazing to have people all over the world who are paying attention to what's going on and able to put that into a broader context or a context, a lens that they understand the world in. That is what we're trying to do with this. So if you're interested, just contact us on Facebook.
Our contributor story this week comes from Sean in Ontario, Canada.
Washing your Model 3. The first thing you have to decide is, can it be a magic car or is it really a family car? If it's a family car, it has to go to the regular car wash. Half the year here in the north, it is cold and you're not going to be able to hand wash it with microfiber cloths. Certainly that is a better way of washing your car. But family cars will get dirty regularly, they have to be washed regularly, and as a matter of practicality, it's going to the car wash. This is my favorite local car wash. It's inexpensive enough that you can take your car regularly, and they do a good job. This car is brand new and the paint is perfect. I haven't done any ceramic coatings or other third-party treatments. It can be a little difficult to put the Model 3 into neutral. Practice before you're holding up the line at the car wash. Typically when you're coming up to the drive-through car wash, you'll be in drive. So what you do is you push on the brake and just move it up one click, and that'll do it. I got the car wash. Reasons why you put it in neutral with the Tesla too is it turns off a lot of the motion sensors, like detection sensors and stuff. So it doesn't freak out in the car. Also, you might want to additionally turn off your automatic windshield wipers. Although I think neutral will turn that off. To wash, you have to hit the brake pedal to turn it into drive. Brake. There you go. To drive. You can come over and wipe off wherever the wash didn't completely dry it. I use traditional car washes. They're fast and they do a good job, but they can put swirls in your paint. This is a risk. Don't force the wipers up. You can break them. There's a service mode on the console. Our family loves the Model 3. It's a great car. Thanks for watching the video.
Interesting point.
Yeah.
I hadn't really thought about that because we've never done this with our Model 3. We've done the drive and stop kind of car wash. But what Sean's talking about is you have to drive it up and then the machine takes over and pulls you through. So you have to be able to put it into neutral, and you got to practice that a little bit.
Yeah, I know some people who would never drive their car into the brushy car washes.
Right, but Sean's showing that you can do it.
You can do it. All right, it's time now for the Patreon bonus stories. You can head over to patreon.com, support us for as little as $1 a month, and you will get access to tons and tons of stories. So you pay $1 a month, right? But you get 4 Patreon bonus stories per month. That's a quarter per Patreon bonus stories. And each Patreon bonus stories is, of course, multiple stories. So you're paying like 15 cents. It's like less than a newspaper that you'd pay for in like the 60s.
Yeah.
You know?
And
except that you used to be able to buy things with that nickel. You know? now you can only buy Patreon bonus stories.
All right, we're back from our Patreon bonus stories, and it's time to give our Patreon shout-outs. These are Patreons who give $5 or more a month to help support the show. These are amazing people. Who do we got, Jess?
We got Brad Blackman.
Hey, we got Eli Blanton from My Tesla Adventure.
Thank you so much, Eli. We got David Rains.
Martin Mitev.
Stephen Warth.
Hugo Dom.
Nathan Walzak.
And Ashley Hill. Thank you, everybody, for supporting us. We really appreciate it. All right, it's time for Elon's Tweet of the Week. This was tough this week because you've been tweeting just amazing amounts of tweets, but this one had to rise to this level. Wednesday afternoon, Dylan Shea Music tweeted at Elon saying, "Hey, Elon, I heard a bunch of people saying there's no way you could help get clean water to Flint, Michigan. Said you wouldn't be capable. I don't know." Musk said, "Please consider this a commitment that I will fund fixing the water in any house in Flint that has water contamination above FDA levels." No kidding.
So basically, if you live in Flint, Michigan, and you get your water tested and it's above FDA levels, You email flint@x.com with the parts per million of your test results for your house, and he will personally send someone to install your water filter.
Are you kidding me?
Right.
Last week, he was helping kids in Thailand get out of a cave by making an underwater mini sub.
Right. A lot of people are like, why are you doing all this stupid, publicity stunts? Honestly, I don't think that they're publicity stunts.
This is not a publicity stunt. This did not get picked up like by major media because he tweets so much people can't even keep up. I mean, this is because he cares.
As he said in a later tweet, like some of the houses have acceptable water standards, right? But there are still some that have terrible lead levels.
But you realize he's stepping into the realm of government here. He's basically, we should be demanding this of our government.
Right.
Which is what created the problem in the first place. And instead, Elon, a private citizen, is saying, I'll help you.
Right. And you don't see this anywhere else.
No.
You don't see anyone else being like, I'm going to make a submarine really quick. I know that it probably won't get used, but like, I'm just going to leave it here just in case this ever happens again.
How about Ford and GM, which are based in Michigan? Why didn't they step up and go, hey, Flint, we'll be there for you?
We're here as Americans. We're going to save your ass.
That would have been good, some good PR.
Yeah. That didn't happen. Just talk about like other billionaires who like could easily step up and be like, I'll pay for water filters.
You know why they don't?
Flint.
Because they would have had big meetings about it, and everyone would have said, oh, well, there's going to be a lot of risk here, and a lot of people are going to ask you for money, and blah, blah, blah. He said, you know what? I don't care. If you need it, I'll help you.
I mean, there is some sort of, there is some downside to having Elon Musk basically have no one tell him no.
Sure.
But I think that there's some really
some upside to it.
Inherent, like, human value in being able to be like, I'm going to fix that. I have the ability to fix that. I'm going to fix that.
And when he shows that he can fix it so easily, it makes a lot of people wonder, wait a minute, if he can do it so easily, and I know he's rich, but the amount of money he's going to spend on this isn't going to be that great. You go, why can't our own government do this?
Right.
All right, it's time for Community Mail Time.
Community Mail Time.
This story is from our buddy Anthony from Atlanta, Georgia. This is what he writes. On Thursday, my wife and I were heading home from work. The car was running a little warm, so I decided to pull over to make sure that everything was all right with it. While looking at the engine and radiator, not touching anything, the radiator hose popped off and sprayed boiling hot water all over me. It came out like a fire hose and caused second-degree burns throughout my midsection. I was in the hospital for 3 days, required surgery, and will need 2 to 3 weeks for recovery. The water was only able to spray for no more than 2 seconds.
Wow. Anthony, I'm so sorry, man. That sucks.
We really are sorry, but I'm glad that you pointed this out because we talk about ice cars as being dangerous because of the pollution, because of the fact that they can catch on fire, and there's thousands of car fires every year. In fact, as you mentioned to me, you were saying, Anthony, that in your area, when the traffic guys up in the helicopters are talking about traffic that day, they'll often refer to a car fire as a car barbecue.
Right.
Because they're so frequent. It's like, oh, another car barbecue down there on the 405. That's ridiculous that we've become so complacent about the dangers of ice cars.
Right. And I think that we've always been complacent about different forms of injury and death. Like, I'm sure when we were all riding horses that, getting your toe lopped off by a horse hoof was like, oh, looks like Timmy got a toeectomy, or, I'm sure that when, children were working in factories and got their hands crushed in the machine, it's like, oh, little Timmy got his hands crushed in the machine again. Oh, well, and by today's standards, we're like, no, that is absurd.
Yeah,
that's abhorrent that you would allow that to happen.
That you open the hood of your car and, imagine if this had been a child who was lower to the ground and this water would have splashed in their face.
Right.
I mean, this is just unacceptable.
That it could happen.
And that we just live with this. Oh, I got burnt by my car.
Sorry.
So sorry, Anthony.
I'm so sorry.
But thank you for sharing your story.
Yeah.
All right, these are photos from our patron Bruce with his Model X and the 3 at the Spring Ride and Drive event. The local Michigan Tesla showroom brought a Model S so that they could have S3X lineup. And I don't think I've ever seen this particular color combo before.
Oh, it's pretty cool looking.
And here is our buddy Brenda from Point Richmond, California.
We're at Point Richmond, California, where all the Teslas are waiting to find their owners. We're about 35 miles from Fremont, where the mothership is located. We're excited to see all these Teslas here. Production is good. This is Brenda Mosier reporting from Point Richmond, California. Bye.
Thank you, Brenda.
Yeah.
Filling us in on what's going down.
So cool. We've seen, just pictures of it from like passing cars.
And we had some video from our buddy who drove a truck by it, but you're right there on the hill.
Yeah.
I love it. It's time for our Patreon viewer comments. We posted this last week on our Patreon. It said, share your thoughts about Elon's tweets regarding journalist Lynette Lopez. And Lance Mace got back to us and said, I found it interesting. Someone said Elon should grow up because he runs a $50 billion company. However, in all that Twitter exchange, he sounded quite like an adult to me, just asking questions.
Yeah, and I want to point out that she didn't say a $50 billion company. She said a $50 million company, which is wrong.
That's a tiny company.
Yeah.
All right, it's time for our Supercharger reviews. And you remember that you can become a Supercharger reviewer and a Destination Charger reviewer. Just go to our website, link down below, post your YouTube video where you review it, and you'll be on the site for everyone to see. And we call through those and bring them up for our show. So here we go.
Hello, Zach and Jesse. How are you? This is Martin from Canadian Tesla Martin YouTube channel. And I saw on your channel that you're looking for some destination chargers. So here we are in Harrison, British Columbia, and I am staying at the Harrison Hot Springs Hotel. They have 2 destination chargers here, free for guests. Actually, no, it's $10 a day. But here they are at the end of the parking lot. We have 2 destination chargers and, of course, 1 regular J1772. So, I don't know if you want people to rate the destination chargers because it's really based on the hotel. The hotel here, very pricey, so I'll give it a 6 out of 10. However, it does supply destination charging for Teslas and, of course, other EVs. So, you got 40 amp breaker, so it charges about 34 kilometers an hour. And yeah, so it's here in beautiful Harrison, British Columbia.
Hi Zach and Jesse, this is Sergi from Downey, California, where they just put a brand new supercharging station with 12 stalls. And after I saw a video of yours, I was like, well, I should have come here and shoot a video for you guys. So here's a review. It's located next to Golden Corral Buffet, and the coffee and the leaf spot and the routes on the other side. So basically, it's all surrounded with the cool places. And it's brand new and it's pretty fast, so it's definitely getting 10 out of 10. And my blessings on the top. Have a great day, guys.
Alright, so here we are in Bathurst, and I found the Tesla Supercharger, which is located in an alley off the main drag in Bathurst. It looks temporary. I heard that they were possibly building more permanent fixtures somewhere, but for now there's 2 chargers. So enough for 2 cars at any one time. I got here to Bathurst with about 110 kilometers left in my car, which is about 30% of charge, apparently, according to the computer anyway. Not too hard to find, it was pretty easy in the end.
Hi Zach and Jesse, this is Stuart with a Supercharger review of the Redondo Beach location. It is a 8-stall Supercharger at the Hilton Garden Inn off Marine Avenue. There is a Tomboy famous chili hamburger drive-thru next door and a Residence Inn hotel also in the same complex. Very busy location in regards to guests of the hotels, and the turnaround for the charging is pretty quick. Access to the Green Line Metro is a short walk away, but not much else. I would give this a 5 out of 10 as there is no entertainment or close restaurants, and the access from the 405 is not ideal.
Hey, thank you so much. It gives me a warm, fuzzy feeling when I see your reviews.
It's amazing.
It's like we've got this awesome community of folks, and they're really useful. I mean, when I'm going to a new Supercharger, I look to see what's available, and who better to tell me than you guys?
Right. Super helpful to see what's around, just what it looks like, because then you can be like, where's the Supercharger? I remember that tree,
right?
Or whatever.
Can I go for a walk? Can I get something to eat? So thank you guys. All right, it's time for the new Superchargers this week. What do we got, Jess?
A 12-stall in Orskog, Norway.
Number 48 in Norway and number 419 in Europe is the 14-stall in Os, Norway.
Number 216 in China and 1323 in the world is the 10-stall at the Tianjin Financial Service Center, China.
Cool. So only 3 this week, but still, it's a lot. It's a lot. And you remember Be Free.
Yes.
Businesses for rewarding Elon employees. Well, we got a lot more on there this week. Some really, you should just go there and check them out because it's the funnest thing to look at. So this week we've got this one. This says, take a vacation in Hua Hin, Thailand. When you visit my beautiful beach town of Hua Hin, Thailand, I will pay your lodging at a mutually agreeable guest house in town. Getting here and any other expenses you incur is on you. And check this out. This is an elephant just wandering down the street, I assume, nearby.
This is so cool.
Yeah.
I mean, there are a lot more, we're getting more and more businesses on here, and this isn't even a business. He is just offering to pay for you to stay in a town if you're a Tesla employee.
Yeah, and I mean, think of all the Tesla employees that were in his neck of the woods a week ago trying to save those kids.
It's true.
So, like, next time you're in Thailand, call him up.
But I mean, like, this isn't even like, oh, I'm working. This is like, oh, I'm going to take a vacation. Where am I going to go? Oh, I could stay in Thailand for free?
That's amazing.
That is so nice.
Thank you.
And I mean, like, this Be Free thing is growing. Like,
yeah.
It's so exciting. So if you are a Tesla employee, or you know someone who's a Tesla employee, or if you own a Tesla and you go to a service center, or
you bump into a Tesla
employee, tell them about it. Because, like, there's a good chance that they could use some of these services that are popping up on this site.
Yeah, we want them to take advantage of it.
All right, before we let you go, we want to show you one of our older videos.
It's only from January.
Yeah, so I mean, check it out. We'll put a card.
Yeah, as soon as we got the Model 3, we wanted to show you all about it. And this one's about Model 3 charging, which I know a lot of you in the past few weeks want to know about because you want to know how to charge it. We're going to do some follow-ups to this with other aspects, but this one's really useful. Don't forget to use our Amazon affiliate link. It's been going really well. It's been supporting us a lot, and it doesn't cost you anything. You just click on the link. You buy the stuff you normally would buy.
We get like 7%. And then this, you're not paying 7% more. This is just 7% that would have been going to like Amazon.
Right.
Instead of going to Jeff Bezos, you're going to be paying us. I think that's a pretty good deal.
Yeah.
Also, don't forget, if you're going to be buying a Model S or Model X, you can still get that free supercharging for life. It hasn't run out yet, but I think it's running out soon. So if you're thinking about it, use our referral code. We will come to your house with a Tesla Roadster, with SpaceX option package.
Yeah.
With rockets on it.
No one else is doing this.
We're going to come in a rocket car. We're going to take you for a ride in the rocket car. You're not going to get that deal anywhere else.
Nope.
So
we're crazy.
Crazy people. Use our referral code. Again, Amazon affiliate link. Head over to that Patreon to help support the show. Thank you so much, guys. Now you know.